It's not always what you say, it's how you say it. But I
Mhm.
do believe that words matter. I do believe that the way you structure certain words, the syntax in which you use them, determines how the patient perceives the message and ultimately the impact on them.
This is Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast, where we ask the question, what does growth in dentistry mean to you? I'm Steve Jensen, a dated dental nerd, and your host. Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of the Growth in Dentistry podcast. Super excited for today. I know I say that every time, but today is going to be especially good because we are going to get to the brass tacks of things. Like, what can team members actually do to move the needle in our favor? And I'm super excited for when I introduce my guest, Ragan Hartman. Now, before I jump in, big shout out to the dental intelligence team for sponsoring this podcast week after week. A lot of work goes into generating the podcast, editing out all of my swear words, all the things. And I'm grateful for their effort and support of getting this content out there to the industry. I think it's wildly valuable. As always, they have an offering for our listeners. They'll give you a $50 gift card just for checking out a demo of DI. So if it has been a long time since you've checked it out, or you've never checked it out, I would definitely encourage you to go get a demo of DI. They've got some really cool new tools on the patient side of things that are awesome. So like the forms, the patient can fill it out right on their phone. It automatically writes back into EagleSoft or Open Dental. They have a new payment solution that will write back to the ledger. They got some really cool stuff to just help take some of those like monotonous tasks off the team members' plate so they can really just focus on the patients in front of them. So if it's been a while since you've checked it out, definitely go and check it out. Okay, with that out of the way, I want to introduce my friend and today's guest, Ragan Hartman. Ragan has a wealth of knowledge in dentistry. Don't let this age her, okay? She has over 27 years of experience in dentistry and healthcare management, executive coaching, and leadership. But she will be the first to let you know she started young, okay? So she's, and you can, if you're watching the video, you can tell that she is still young and spry and has a lot of energy. Also, I'll just note this too. Ragan is a known industry expert because she's been doing it a long time. As you can imagine, she has been welcomed to hundreds and hundreds of seminars all over the country, teaching best practices for how to run a business, how to be a strong leader in dentistry, and how to make sure we set up systems and processes to take the best care of our patients and our team members. So I couldn't be more excited to bring Ragan onto the podcast today. So welcome, Ragan. Say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Yeah,
Excited
and
to
I've
be.
got to ask first. I always like hearing from people before we jump into kind of the topic for the day. I always like hearing like how you got into dentistry. So why dental, Reagan?
So interestingly, it happened by chance or fate or whatever you would have it. I started when I was 17. I was friends with the daughter of one of our co-founders and chairman of the board, way back when. And one day he just asked me if I would help him out at like a training workshop, just running back of the room logistics, planning, things of that nature. And sitting in the room, I was exposed to things that my 17-year-old ears perked up, and I was like, why didn't I know this? Why did no one ever tell me this? And
Yeah.
so from there, I kind of fell in love with it. And I will be the first one to tell you, I am not passionate about dentistry, but I am passionate about people and
I love
passionate about businesses and love all of my clients. So it wasn't really the dentistry that attracted me, it was the transformation that attracted me. And that's why I've stayed. So
Yeah, I love that. And I love that because dentistry is so people. I bring this up every once in a while where I tell dentists and their teams, like, you have such a cool job if you think about it in a unique way. Here's what I mean. There aren't very many businesses where you get to have like an intimate one-on-one experience with a customer basically every 6 months. And especially for your like local community, there aren't very many businesses that give that, where you have like a couple thousand people, community members coming to your business every 6 months to have a one-on-one experience. Obviously, there's like grocery stores, but that's pretty impersonal at this point. Like you go in and you get your groceries and you go to self-checkout, and there's not like that kind of opportunity to build a community relationship like you do in dentistry. So I'm not surprised, Reagan, that someone who loves people and loves community landed here. Now, let me frame up today's conversation. Just so folks know, Reagan has really strong expertise in verbal skills and the patient experience, and I want to draw some of that out, but I want to set it up this way. So, DI, dental intelligence, we're tracking industry trends across over 10,000 practices. And one of the cool parts of my job is I get to watch and see like what's happening, what is the data telling me? And there have been several key trends in dentistry for several years now that are problematic. Number one, I'm seeing cancellations and no-shows on the rise. That's happening. I'm seeing compressing margins, so meaning we're not making as much money for the same amount of dentistries in the past, which causes us to start to think about things like going out of network. So a big trend I'm seeing with DI practices, a lot of them are choosing to go out of network with key insurance plans to try to improve that margin and not be controlled by the insurance plan, I guess, so to speak. I'm seeing the last one I'll mention is I'm seeing accounts receivable balloon, and that's been happening for a couple of years now, where it seems like we're struggling to get full balances paid in a timely manner. I'm also seeing AR days, which is the total number of days it takes to collect balloons. So it's kind of all happening. Collections from insurance and patients are ballooning. Now, the way I want to frame this with Reagan, and then I'll shut my mouth and let you talk, is each one of these problems I'm identifying open up more and more difficult conversations that the practice has with the patients, or the problem's never going to get resolved. Meaning, if a bunch of patients start to cancel a no-show and I just like am too uncomfortable to talk about it, then that problem is just going to keep happening. Or if my AR days with my patients or my aging with my patients is ballooning, and I can't have like a good productive conversation about finances with the patients, then I'm probably not going to collect those dollars. Same thing with going out of network. If I don't handle that conversation of going out of network really thoughtfully with the patients, then I risk losing a bunch of patients and maybe my schedule not being as full as I'm used to it being. So, Reagan, I would love to hear from you, and you tell me where you want to start. Do you want to start kind of at each of those problems, some things you're seeing, or do you want to start like brass tacks? Hey, let's talk about the basics of patient communication.
Well, we can really start anywhere. I think the way
Cool.
I would pre-frame this is communication has several layers to it. There are
Yeah.
several skills that you tie together and mix together to formulate a very intentional and as you said, very thoughtful message when we're having those difficult conversations. So the first thing I would say is it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. But I
Mhm.
do believe that words matter. I do
Yeah.
believe that the way you structure certain words, the syntax in which you use them, determines how the patient perceives the message and ultimately the impact on them.
Mhm.
So choosing that delivery thoughtfully and being able to deliver it with compassion and conviction to where it's not a punitive thing we're doing to the patients, like going out of network, but that we're acknowledging the issue and then helping the patient reframe what that means to them, how
Mhm.
that ultimately impacts them. So I'll just
Is that
start there. And then you can hit on
actually,
any of those topics you want to because they're all very prevalent. They've been around forever. But as you mentioned, with inflation being what it is, we're seeing more and more of a steady climb with some of those KPIs that we
yeah.
want to keep very much contained, right?
So maybe I'll just ask the question kind of broadly with any of those, how do you start, like, how do you think about training your team to have those difficult conversations? Like, I don't know if you just want to pick an example, like collecting on a balance. I think it could be, we were kind of pre-showing a little bit. I think it could be human nature to be like, I think most of us are conflict avoidant. So it's like, man, like I'm sending them statements and they're not paying. But the team member like might be scared to call a patient and say, hey, you owe us $350. You need to pay. And obviously, I'm not saying that in a very like thoughtful way. So, how do you think about training a team member on improving that skill? And then, like, what do you actually say to improve it?
Well, so understand this too, that if our insurance coordinator or our financial coordinator is feeling the pinch of the inflation that we're seeing,
Yeah.
that will sometimes be projected onto how they believe the
Uh,
patient will feel about having a balance. But the
yeah.
truth of the matter is, money seems to be a very emotionally charged thing, but it doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
right? I think in any situation that we're going to be discussing, the more calm and collected the team member can stay as they deliver this message, the more they'll be able to influence the patient's mood and their perception of it. So, like one of the things that I've noticed, especially with some of the newer offices I've gone into in the last year, is that team members seem to be very reactive when it comes to collecting back. Like, let's say the claim came back, they gave the patient the estimate, they collected the estimated patient portion um, when they were scheduling, or maybe they're going to collect it the day of the visit. But they file the claim comes back, and the service was downgraded. So now the patient has a $50 balance, a $300 balance, whatever it is. What I've seen some teams do is at that point, they'll just start sending the patient statements, which
Mm.
is all well and good. However, if you're balancing a budget at home and you've got the mortgage and the cars and the insurance, where does that bill go in order of priority, especially if there's no real pressure? Where does it go?
Yeah. To the
It goes
bottom.
to the bottom. It goes
Yeah.
directly to the bottom. And so, what we coach our teams to do is the moment the patient's expectation changes. You know why people get upset when they get a bill? Because what they were told has changed,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So every frustration, every upset, every time a patient gets angry, it's because the expectation changed. Well, when should they be notified that the expectation has changed? The moment it changes.
Yep.
So the moment I get the EOB before we ever send a statement, we just call the patient and say, "Hey, Stephen, this is Reagan at All Smiles. I hope you had a great 4th of July weekend and enjoyed some fireworks. I'm calling because we just got your claim back from the insurance company, and they actually downgraded the service we did the last time you were here, which has actually left a small balance on your account. I'm calling today to see, would you prefer just to handle that conveniently over the phone with me today, or I can text you a link? Or would you like for me to send you a statement? I'm happy to do any of those. What would you prefer?"
Yeah, that's great.
It's clarifying the expectation has changed, and it's more shifting the blame to the insurance company. Your insurance carrier downgraded this.
Because that is what happened. Yeah.
Because that's what happened. But the people at the front desk, they become the middleman between the insurance company and the service provider. And they get all the flag. They get all the emotional charge, right?
Uh-huh.
So again, if the patient says, yes, send me a statement. Okay, perfect. I'll send that out to you today, which will give you about 10 days to just bring your account current. Most often, though, in my experience, if you give them the option to pay through a link, about 60% of the time, they're going to click the link and pay that way.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask. Like, how often are people on the phones just like, yeah, go ahead and just, send me the link. I'll tackle it. And I would assume it's like pretty high. I think a lot of times we have this like availability heuristic as humans where we'll think of a couple of like vivid bad examples in our head, and then we blow it up and make ourselves think like, oh, that's gonna happen every time. When maybe that's not what's gonna happen. Now, Reagan, let's press on that kind of same thing and throw a curveball at you. I can imagine office manager or dentist listening, like, yeah, like sometimes we do get pushback. Like maybe they'll in that scenario say, "Oh man, is there any way you guys can like fight that claim and see if they'll like, re-up it to what they were supposed to pay?" Does that make sense? Like, uh, how often do patients do that? And when they do push back on you and say, "Oof, like, can you help me fight that claim and get paid what we were expecting?" How do you respond to that?
So, in the event the claim was denied, right?
Hmm.
In the event the claim was denied, the way we would handle that is simply say, you know what, Stephen, I know, and I am so sorry. We have a ton of patients who feel the same way that you do. And while I'm happy to go back to your insurance company, oftentimes in this case, either we ran out of benefit or your benefits were maxed, or, the service for whatever reason just wasn't covered. And so I didn't want you to be caught off guard by a statement. I wanted to reach out personally and let you know what's happened so that we could resolve this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and I love the way that you did that. I love the way, I even really loved the phrase where you said, we have a lot of patients that feel the same as you. It like puts them in this bucket where they're like, oh, cool. Like you're letting me know this is not normal. I'm not crazy, but you're also not backing off of the reality that, hey, we still need to,
Right.
like get the
And it's
balance.
not a
Hey,
Stephen problem, right?
yes,
This isn't a Stephen problem. This is an
that's
issue
great.
with a lot of insurance carriers.
Yeah, it happens. And I think most people, when they hear something like that, like I'm listening and it's like I might put up a fuss if I'm like pinched for money. But then when you hear that, you're like, yeah, most people know like insurance companies don't always pay. Sometimes it doesn't happen how you work. Consumers know that. And so when they hear it, they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And again, even if the patient gets ugly, because especially if the patient is very financially strapped or they're struggling a little bit, even if they get ugly, just don't get ugly back with them. Just understand that they're confused, they're
Mm.
concerned. they're worried. And our best approach is just to say, I'm sorry, I get it. Here's what we can do. Here's what I'm willing to do. And the ultimate thing is I just want to make sure we bring your account current so that you don't incur any interest charges or have any negative marks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Do you have any other suggestions when there are escalations? And then we don't have to hitting escalations, but are there any other skills? Like if someone starts to get escalated, do you have any suggestions on like isolating their concerns where it's like, oh yeah, I can hear that you're concerned about your ability to pay, or I can, sounds like you're, you think you might be able to get the interest to say yes. Does that make sense? Like you kind of say back what they're saying. Do you have any other suggestions for escalations that are common where you're like, hey guys, this is a great way to handle when a patient gets escalated?
Yeah, so again, my advice is always to apologize, to own the solution, not the problem.
Yeah,
Because it wasn't our problem,
I
right?
love that.
But we can own the solution. What's it going to take to have Stephen feel better and bring his account current?
Yeah.
Stephen, what I can do, because I know that $500 is significant, what I can do is allow you to pay this over the next couple of months if we need to give you a little bit of leeway since it was completely unexpected. I'm happy to do that for you. Would that work? And we'll just take the first payment today. And then a month from now, we'll go ahead and process the second one, or 2 weeks from now. Let's work out what that time frame would look like so that you feel better.
Yeah, I love the way you said that. That's one like nugget I'm gonna lock in. Like in those escalated situations, I own the solution, but I don't own the problem. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, that's really, really nice. Okay, cool. I like the claims age or the you kind of the insurance claims denial, the accounts receivable kind of situation. Let's talk, or maybe you can direct. What are some of the common when you go jump in with a client, what are some of the other common places where communication needs to be elevated with the patient? We could hit cancellations and no-shows, or what's the other one I brought up? Going out of network. But if you've got others, Reagan, you're like, hey, these are obvious places where it's like, hey, we need some up leveling. I would love to hear from you, kind of the common places you like to go coach on.
So there are a couple that I really enjoyed delving into. One is mitigating cancellations,
Yeah,
right?
cool.
Cancellations and no-shows have the same impact on the schedule, but they're not the same and they need to be handled differently, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk cancellation. Let's say a patient offered you the courtesy of a phone call before they cancel, right? They
Hmm.
didn't just no-show, but they're giving you notice, not enough, but they're giving you some. Then how we handled this is going to set a precedent for what they can expect moving forward. And so,
Yeah.
Stephen, if you were to call and say, hey, something came up, I'm not going to be able to make it, I coach my teams to make it difficult for the patient to get back in. So the way I would do that is, oh, Stephen, are you sure there's no way you can make it today? I only
Nice.
ask because I don't have another availability for you until 8 weeks from now. And I know that Dr. Jensen wouldn't want you to wait that long. Are you sure there's no way you can make it?
Yeah,
If-
that's great.
Now, what's interesting is you're going to see a large percentage when they know they have to wait, you're going to see a large percentage go ahead and find a way to come in. They're going
Yeah.
to rearrange things, rearrange their nail appointment, hair appointment, oil change, whatever. The other thing is the languaging I used, I'm very intentional with because what I see teams do a lot of times, and this is why their cancellations and no-shows spike. Because
Hmm.
if you were to call in and say, I'm sorry, I can't make it today, and the front desk is worried about keeping a full schedule, what they might do is say, oh, that's okay. I've got something tomorrow. Would tomorrow work? Or I've got something on Thursday. Does Thursday work? We make it too easy for the patient to get back in, which actually devalues our time.
Hmm.
So when something more exciting or more pleasurable comes up, they don't have any resistance to
Yeah.
canceling with us, and we don't offer any.
Yeah.
So the
And it
first
doesn't seem like
time,
an inconvenience when I call in. It's like, oh yeah, sure. I'll just get you in a couple days later. It's like, oh, cool, great.
and that's a lot of the language that I hear when I'm doing observations. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's see if we can find you another time. Or they'll ask the dreaded question, well, do you want to go ahead and reschedule that now? Which we'll talk about scheduling in a minute, because that's
Yeah.
another one of my other favorite things to talk about.
But I like the immediate friction you create with, oh, are you sure you're not gonna be able to make it? Or how are you phrase that? I like that
Yeah.
pushing it back on them. At least do you just do that once to kind of get a pulse on like, okay, like how urgent is this cancellation? Or are they just like wanting just to bail easy?
Well, they all want to bail easy, and for
Yeah,
the most part, we allow it.
for
But even
sure.
that slightest bit of friction, that slightest bit of resistance that I'm offering, like, are you sure there's no way you can make it? And then
Yeah,
the languaging of, I don't have another availability for you until 8 weeks from now. So
yeah.
creating that space or making it difficult for them to come back in. Plus, even if we have availability tomorrow, the fact that I said I don't have availability for you. I didn't
Hmm.
say we don't have availability.
Yeah, just availability for you. Yeah.
Right. I don't have it now. How we say it matters, right? But
Yep.
I don't have availability for you until 8 weeks from now. A lot of times the patient will find a way to come in. If they
Yeah.
still can, if it's an emergency or whatever, I go ahead and push them out 8 weeks. If it is a true emergency, I might say, but Stephen, sometimes changes happen and issues come up. Should something come available sooner, would you like me to call you?
Yeah, great.
Right? So I will leave that door open in the event something changes. I'll leave that open. I'll give you a call and we'll see if we can get you in a little bit sooner. What we
Yeah.
never want to do, though, is offer them something immediately.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
that's so good.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, now let's keep going through that then. So, is there anything unique with the actual kind of beyond those things for the cancellation calls, or do you want to talk about no shows now?
So that's really how I handle all cancellation calls now. The other thing is
That was
we
gold, by the way. I hope people like as you're listening, I hope people are taking notes because that is so helpful.
thank you. And after repeated cancellations last minute, again, a lot of that is mitigated when they know it's not easy to get back in. A lot of the problems that we see, and please don't shoot the messenger, but a lot of the problems that we see, we create. We don't recognize it, but we do.
Yeah.
And so by allowing people to get in immediately, we're devaluing our own time, which means they devalue it as well. So it's not a big deal to cancel if I can just get in tomorrow or later this week. That's number one. So setting that expectation, remember I said earlier that frustrations and upsets come from unmet expectations. Well, I'm setting that expectation at the first cancellation. The second cancellation, if they call in, let's say they want to cancel the next appointment, then I might say something to the effect of, I understand how work schedules change, and unfortunately, I don't have availability for you until about 8 weeks from now. Now, I do want to find a time that we're certain will work for you so that we don't have to worry about running into a work schedule again. So, what day of the week works best? Or is there do mornings or afternoons tend to work better for you? Because I want to make sure that this next reservation works really well. So, the more we clarify as we deliver that message, we're starting to clarify our own expectations with the patient. When it
Mhm.
comes to no-shows, no-shows are handled in a three strike you're out way.
Mhm.
So the first time they no-show, I'm happy to call them and say, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Is
'Cause that's
everything
what I was going to
okay?
ask. Like, once it happens, is there outreach? And I wondered if there was something like that because there are some times when there's like legit things that happened.
Right, right. So I might reach out and say, Stephen, this is Reagan at All Smiles. I wanted to make sure everything was okay. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're aware you had a time reserved with Brenda today, and when you didn't show up, we got a little bit worried. Is everything okay?
Yeah. Great. Which is reasonable. That's perfect. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well,
Then you
Brenda
can
wants
quickly find out, like, they'll say, oh, no, guys, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. And then there's probably one path, and there's probably a path where they say, oh my gosh, you'll never believe it. This. And you're like, holy crap, I'm so sorry.
yeah. And then it's like, I understand things happen. That's why they put erasers on pencils. And I'd
I
like
like
to go ahead, I'd like to go ahead and get your next reserve spot booked. And just to remind you, moving forward, if you ever need to change one of your reserve times, if you could just give us 24 hours notice to avoid incurring the $75 broken reservation fee, I just want to make sure you don't have to pay any more than is absolutely necessary.
Great.
I will, since this is the first time you've never given notice, I'm going to go ahead and waive that fee today. But moving forward, all you have to do is just allow us that 24-hour notice to avoid incurring that fee altogether. Now, Stephen, let's go ahead and get your visit set back up. Do mornings or afternoons work best for you?
Oh, that's so good. Reagan, you're so good.
I'm a linguistic freak. My
Yeah, you
clients
are. You're
tell you,
so
right?
good.
I'm, I'm, I'm a
I'm
total
sure
freak.
every dentist listening is like, hey, can I hire you to just do? they're thinking, oh man, there's got to be some AI bot that can just replicate Reagan. I'm gonna have her take all my calls.
It is
So good.
patent pending. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, patent pending. That's great.
Just kidding. But I am a firm believer that we don't have to be the practice for everyone, and we're not the practice for everyone. People who repeatedly show that they don't value your time, it's okay to dismiss them. And
Yeah.
I'm a three strikes, you're out. So third strike, you go on a same day only list,
Mhm.
right? Whereas, Stephen, unfortunately, we can't seem to find a time that really matches with your work schedule and everything else. So at this time, I'm unable to reserve a future visit. However, when
Yeah.
the time comes, reach out to our office, and if we have availability that day, I'm happy to see you then.
Yeah, see, that's great. And a lot of times, one of the things I like that you say that because sometimes folks will kind of get this like, no, you're not welcome here anymore attitude. But and the reality is, like, maybe that patient just doesn't, value maybe it's hygiene visits and,
Right,
so their teeth don't hurt, so they're just not prioritizing it. But
right,
if their teeth actually start to hurt, I hope as a healthcare provider, you actually do want to, help them out. And when they call you, there's probably actual production that needs to get done where it's like, okay, like, hey, I
right,
chipped my tooth, or like, wow, my tooth really hurts. I need to get in. And
right.
where our needs are all aligned at that point to get those folks into the practice. So I like the way you framed that because it still gives them space to come in, see us as a healthcare provider, and not have this like, I don't want to speak like too strongly to ethics, but to me that feels pretty ethical, like I think the idea of like telling a patient, no, you just aren't welcomed here anymore seems like, no, I think they probably should still be able to come. If they're in pain, we want to help them. So
Yeah.
I
And
like
I
I like
used
the way
to
you approach
be,
that.
yeah, and I used to be of the opinion like three strikes you're out was send a dismissal letter, they can go someplace else. But
Yeah.
ever since COVID, I've changed my tune on that a little bit. Like
Yeah.
give give them a pathway to come back and see you, even if they're not a proactive patient, if they're more of an apathetic patient,
Yeah.
give them the space to see you, but don't set the expectation to see them in
That you
hygiene
can
every six
reserve. Yeah,
months.
I like that. And the same day things feels really sensible to me. And there might be, Reagan, you could probably speak to this better since you're in the trenches far more than I am, but I imagine there might be situations where it's not working between you and the patient and you might suggest, hey, you might have another provider that would be a better fit, to help you with care. That I'm sure me personally, I've had a couple of different like healthcare providers just in like the normal general health I've gone to because I wanted to find a doctor that like, hey, we're aligned on the way I'm trying to, live my life. I'm not big on taking medicine, so I want to like avoid, just pain pills or something to like cover the issue. I'd rather like do the longer term, okay, how can I change my life and the way I approach things to improve my health? And sometimes there might be situations where, as a dentist, it might be a better fit with someone else. How
Yeah,
do you approach that conversation where it's like, hey, may not be the best fit?
Yeah, in those situations, again, we own the solution. Like, Stephen, you've been coming to see me for a while, and it doesn't seem like I'm able to care for you the way you really want to be cared for.
Cool.
So I'm not really sure that you want to continue your care at our office. I'm happy to refer you to some colleagues that I trust. It
Right.
just doesn't seem as though I'm able to take care of your needs the way you'd like me to.
Yeah, and then let them speak. That's perfect. Yeah, and you'll learn a lot from a response there. Man,
Yeah.
that's so good. Reagan, let's hit maybe like one more. We've got another, I don't know. Are you good to go for another 10 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's hit one more because this has been I've really enjoyed this so far. Do you want to go the going out of network conversation? Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. So, well, and there are a couple of things I want to say around insurance that I
Okay,
don't think most people understand.
great.
First of all, during the initial patient conversation, like the new patient conversation, I want to start there because I think sometimes just without realizing it, I'll hear my fee for service team say, these patients are just so insurance driven or they're insurance dependent or whatever. And I don't know that that's true. I don't know that it's not, but I
Yeah,
don't know that that's true. I think we set an expectation around insurance during the very first phone call. And when does the insurance question come up? Is it the third question that we ask, what insurance do you have? Is it the second question? Is it
yeah,
the first question?
Uh,
Oftentimes, the timing at which we ask about insurance communicates to the patient how much we prioritize insurance.
yeah, that's true.
But we have to be very careful with that. So there is a time I like to get to the insurance toward the end because I really want to understand. I want my teams to understand what the patient's really after, what kind of office they're looking for, what services they're most interested in. I want them to understand that part so they have a chance to get in rapport before jumping straight to the insurance question. I also train my teams to use different languaging around insurance and call it dental benefit. Will we be filing any dental benefits on your behalf? Um, because I want to slowly reframe how the patient perceives their insurance plan because dental insurance and medical insurance are not the
Are
same.
not the same. Yeah, so I like the way you're using different words so that the patient kind of knowingly, unknowingly starts to differentiate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it happens on a very subliminal level, right?
Yes.
Where it's not glaring at them, but over time we begin to shift how they perceive what dental benefits actually are and the difference between a dental plan and your medical insurance plan. Completely different, handled completely different,
Yeah.
coverage is completely different.
It's so
So,
different. Yeah, we wish maybe a lot of dentists probably wish there was like a max out of pocket, the rest is covered by insurance
oh, I'm
situation
sure
in
it would be
dentistry. But
wonderful.
that is not it. It is just max annual benefit and it's over after that in terms of what they'll
Discount
help.
plan with points. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Plan with points. So most of my clients at some point in our relationship, either they came to me and they were out of network or we're going out of network because we've maxed capacity in their facility and they're not ready to expand or whatever.
Yep.
And so in handling that insurance conversation, when a patient calls in and they say, "Hey, do you take my insurance?" Right?
Mhm.
Then I like for my teams to help reframe, to help say yes and, or no, but yes, right?
Yeah.
While we are not contracted with your insurance carrier, we do accept every major insurance except maybe Medicaid. And I'm happy to do a complimentary benefits check for you if you like before scheduling. Or I'm happy to do a complimentary benefits check right now so that you know exactly what coverage you have and what your estimated patient portion would be,
Yeah.
right? So I don't like saying we're not in network or out of network. Now, patients have gotten a little bit more savvy when it comes to what to ask for. But again, it's one of those subliminal things like, while we're not a contracted provider, that's the no. But yes, we do take your plan. Another way to say that is, while we're not a contracted provider, we have hundreds of patients with that exact same plan. So I'm happy to talk to you about what coverage you can expect.
Perfect. Yeah.
So it's a no but yes framework.
Yeah, I like that. So you're suggesting that kind of just our general communication around insurance all helps frame up ultimately if I decide to go out of network, how I've communicated for the years or, starting now with a new patient coming in is going to affect how that communication happens when I ultimately do go out of network if that's a choice I make.
Yes. Yes. And if anyone is listening right now and you're considering going out of network, I highly, highly encourage you to reach out to myself or one of my colleagues or one of the other dental coaches around the country. There is a specific way to do that that will enable you to retain the vast majority of those patients. You don't have to lose them, but how you handle that message, how you walk them through what that means is gonna dictate how many of them stay with you.
Yeah. Now I want to ask this question because I've seen some Facebook posts and I'm not in the weeds on this one, but I've seen things that, you go out of network and insurance companies will like send emails or letters to your patients letting them know, hey, they're not in network anymore. So I'm assuming like the timing of communication needs to be right. Do you ever like let them know, hey, the insurance company might send you a letter? Do you like preempt that or, talk me through that process?
So I'll talk about a specific office right now. We're going out of network with MetLife and let's see, MetLife and I think Delta in October.
Yeah,
So
big one.
starting 6 months before October, the hygienist in the front office is starting to slowly inform them that as of this date, we will
Mhm.
no longer be a contracted provider, but we're happy to still be your dentist. This
Yeah.
is what that looks like for you,
Great.
right?
Mhm.
The other thing is I also encourage all of my clients to send the patient a letter to do a preemptive strike before the insurance carrier has an opportunity to, that we notify them first. Yes, we're going out of network, or yes, we are terminating our contractual relationship with your carrier. However, we will still file your claims, we still accept your benefits, but I did want you to know what this means for you,
Yeah,
right?
great.
I just want there to be clarity.
And then how much you talk, just so folks can hear, because I think some people that might be listening have never gone out of network, so they don't even know like what does that mean on the other side of it? Like, does that mean that the patients I need to tell them, hey, it's going to cost X dollars more, or is it basically the same, but now I have more control over my fee schedule and can increase it, and I'm less, handcuffed by the insurance company. Like, what exactly? How much detail? Do I more what I'm asking is how much detail do I actually communicate to the patient in terms of what they can expect?
Yeah, I think what they can expect, and again, I want to focus on benefits and
Hmm.
try to deviate away from, yes, there might be a slight increase in your out-of-pocket cost. That depends
Yeah.
on where the fees are positioned for the
Yep.
practice. So yes, there might be a slight increase in your out-of-pocket cost, but our other patients who felt like you did determined that when they went somewhere else, the level of care went down, and so they came back to us. And I see that all the time. All the
Yep.
so it's more letting the patient know this is what it means. So at your next hygiene visit, this will be your estimated patient portion. Your insurance is still going to pay this. You can still remain a patient of Dr. Jensen for as long as you and your family want to continue to come here. And at every visit, I'll give you a breakdown should any restorative care be needed. We will always make sure you know your estimated cost before anything is ever done. We will never catch you off guard.
And then what's the original and kind of the initial, what do you tell the patient about why you're going out of network? Is it because, you mentioned framing the care. So do you tell them, hey, in order to maintain or, continually improve the quality of care that we deliver, we've made the decision to not be a contracted provider with X insurance. And then what, have like a couple bullets that are like, this is what that means. We're able to, you know,
Tell the patient the truth. So, why are we choosing to go out of network? Well, the restrictions and the limitations regarding how we can care for our patients are getting tighter and tighter. And Dr. Jensen believes he is the best person to determine what care you need,
great.
not the carrier. So, he has determined to do this because now he has the freedom to expand whatever services he wants to. He has the freedom to expand his education and his knowledge and his certification so that he knows he's giving his patients the best.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Well, I can't believe we're running up on on time already, Reagan. I said 10 minutes and we're already there. This has been so good, so helpful. I hope folks uh listen to this over and over again. I hope you send this to like your office manager, team members and say, hey, like come and listen to Reagan. And then I hope if you're sitting there thinking, man, I would love someone to come and like help my team and work directly with us. I hope that you reach out to Reagan. I'll make sure I throw Reagan. Do you want me to throw the Fortune Management website in here? I have that one that goes like directly to your page. Or do you have it? If you have another one, just send it to me and I'll make sure I throw that in the show notes.
Yeah,
Do
no,
you
send
answer?
them that landing page link. And I'm happy to drop my cell phone number here if they
Perfect.
want to reach out to me, or even reach out to me via email or text or phone call. My cell phone number is 931-808-8820. My email address is Ragan Hartman. That's Ragan. Hartman is Hartman at fortunemgmt.com. And if anyone listening would like a scripting guide, I'm a linguistic freak, so I have several scripting guides that I share with my clients. If you would like a copy of the scripting guides, reach out to me, send me a text, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to send those out to you. And you and your team can start working on incorporating that into your communications with your patients.
Yeah, that's super, super kind of you, Reagan. Definitely take her up on that. Now, the way I end every podcast, I ask every guest the same question, and it is, what does growth in dentistry mean to you? It's the namesake of the podcast. So, Reagan, I'd love to hear your answer, and then we'll wrap it up. What does growth in dentistry mean to you?
Well, I guess I need clarity on the question. When you say growth in dentistry, you're talking about the growth of the practice, or are you talking about the growth
Anything,
of
the
my
people, the leaders, the industry as a whole, the dental practice.
I think as long as people always prioritize people and they don't prioritize the numbers. I mean, I'm a coach, so I watch the numbers, I watch the KPIs, but dentistry is and always will be a relationship business. And as I said earlier, a lot of the problems that we see, we create because of the relationships that we're building with our patients. So I think growth in any business, not just dentistry, but any business, is going to be how deep of a relationship do you build with the people that you serve? And the more you focus on nurturing that relationship, your practice is going to explode.
Yeah,
I think that's
I love that. That's a perfect answer. So Reagan, thank you for joining us today. And once again, I'll throw her contact information and website link in the show notes. And thanks, Reagan, for joining. Thank you, all of you out there for joining. This has been another episode of the Growth in Dentistry podcast. My name's Steve Jensen, your host. Keep growing, and we'll talk soon.